I'd like to call the select board meeting of Monday, May 20th to order. Before we start, I'd like to go over some of the select board rules. The amount of people we have here tonight, we are going to have to enforce the 3-minute public comment per person. I ask that you speak once, not trying to silence you. There will be time in the future to speak again. And if somebody has already brought up the issue that you have, please refrain from bringing it up again if possible. And let's all be civil tonight. Respect each other. Thank you.
You speak to the board, not one individual of the board.
Yeah, you speak to the chair, actually. Address all questions to the board.
Okay.
Item 2 is additions or deletions to the agenda.
Do we want to take the...
Yeah.
So we want
Delete
to...
that.
Oh, I've got it. He's got the list.
You want this?
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to add that we're taking 9B off. Is that right? I don't know where we're going to move it.
Yep,
Take off.
yep, right there. It says
Oh, it's that one,
9B.
9B.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, yep, thanks. That's it? Yep.
These are all the,
There's additions as well.
Okay, yep,
these are the additions.
yep,
Oh, that's just the change and that's the deletion.
that's fine. Okay, yep.
You want me to move?
Do you want me to
Somebody
move?
needs to make a
I'll
motion.
make the motion, got it, okay. I move that we make the following agenda changes and additions. So we're going to add to the agenda roads and bridges, a access permit for Hunter Kalstis, formerly 2687 Under the Mountain Road, to modify old access. We're additionally going to consider an access permit for Wiley Construction, located at 252 Glebe Lane, extending an existing access permit that was temporary. Third, we're going to move 12B and 12C.
Please speak up.
Yep, going to move 12B and 12C ahead of 12A. And we're going to delete from the agenda 9B, titled Mountain Towns Recreation Director Advisory Committee. Consideration of policies.
Is that your motion?
Yep, that's the motion. Yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, item 3, executive session, the appointment or evaluation of a public officer or employee for 1 VSA 313A3.
I move to enter executive session to consider the evaluation of a public officer pursuant to Title I VSA Section 313A3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unfortunately, at this time, we're gonna have to ask you all to get up and exit the room for a minute.
I think more coming in than went out.
There is all the space on the stage.
I don't know that we have any more chairs.
People can stand behind us if they want.
Yeah, yeah.
If any of you guys want, we can stand behind us.
Oh, well. Stuff out of here.
There he is. Hi, Doug.
They will my
Would have been easier to deal with this stuff before it was submitted.
Oh, there he is. He made it in.
Yeah, he's here.
Well, we'll get it all ironed out.
I know, but the longer it takes, going from one set to the other set of bylaws, the
Tom,
longer it takes.
what do you want my goal?
Willing to interpret if we say control, how to what that you know, the open law process feels like it's not going the right way, to kind of call it on it. We'll do the timing.
I don't think I can call it.
Renovated town hall out there.
Yeah, but it's already,
I can't call balls.
it's already been warned for here.
Oh, yeah, no, I meant this building after.
And then I can open the.
I don't know.
Because it's your meeting. So that's fine. And then want me to jump in. You guys can kind of suspend the rules and let them on. So suspend your rules. I can get them moving. I can get them to suspend the rules. This, you don't even have to do the whole thing. Just read public comment. Yep. So everyone, if that's all, it's not.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Item 4, discuss select board member resignation and process to fill vacancy. I will read the resignation letter out loud. Dear board members, please accept this letter as a notification of my resignation from the Select Board, Housing Commission, Williams Dam Committee, non-voting representative, and Village Wastewater Committee, non-voting representative. I have appreciated my time representing my community and am thankful for my work on many projects with such a dedicated group of people. I have always respected a good debate, and as I reflect, the best part of our discussion was always respectful and considerate. We did not always agree, but in the end, the outcome was usually the right action for the town. Monday evening, the tone changed. It became disrespectful, malicious, and personal, leaving me feeling vulnerable and uncomfortable. Not only was this directed at myself and a fellow select board member, but also a representative of the planning commission. Meeting protocol was not followed, causing the meeting to fall into disarray. My one regret was not requesting a pause or an adjournment to regain control and continue the meeting with respect and civility. I will continue to love and support Londonderry and all its initiatives in ways that don't feel threatening and disrespectful. I wish you all the best in navigating the difficult world of small-town government. Sincerely, Melissa Brown.
we announce the opportunity for people to submit a candidacy.
First, we have to accept it.
Excuse me.
yes.
I move to accept the resignation letter from Melissa Brown, regretfully.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to thank Melissa for all her hard work that she did on the board.
She'll be sorely missed.
Second and third, yep.
And so, how we move forward, we can appoint a new board member, or we can have a special election. My opinion is, with what is going on, the best course of action is just to have a special election and let the people pick their new select board member. And that will be to the next town meeting.
So we're vacant a position until the next town meeting.
No,
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 hold a
we can have a
special
special meeting.
Oh, I see.
just for the election. And so, once it's warned, it has to be warned for 30 days, and then we would have a special town meeting, much like March town meeting, that is in person and elections happen from the floor. And if it's a contested race, then it goes to paper ballot and ballot box, and everyone stands in line and drops their vote in. So if that's what the board decides to do, you'll have to approve the warning for that meeting, and then that's when the 30-day time period starts for when the meeting will happen.
And why is this any better than allowing people to submit a request to be considered as a candidate to us and we decide?
I think that after everything that's going on, the public would feel a lot better if they elected their own member.
It's my thought. I think it's the cleanest way. That way no one says, well, you appointed this person to go with your agenda or whatever problems might arise from that.
Do we get to qualify the candidates who get to be put on the ballot?
Nope, they get nominated by the floor.
Okay.
The elections would happen the same way elections of officers happen at town meeting.
Yeah.
If that's the way we'd like to go, we should have a vote.
Okay.
You good with that, Jim?
Yes, I am. Do we need a motion on this?
You might have to make up your own.
Yeah.
I'd move pursuant to Title 24 VSA Section 961A to post notice of vacancy on the select board caused by the resignation of one of its members,
And to hold a special...
and to hold a special election to replace said member.
Second.
Does that work with you guys for the motion?
I think so, and then you just have to pick a date and figure out when you're going to have another meeting to vote to accept the warning and sign the warning for that meeting.
Can it fit with our regular scheduled
No.
select board meetings? No. No, I mean,
The warning
the
can.
warning can.
Yes.
Yes,
when-
that's what I
right,
meant,
when you
yeah.
vote to sign the warning can be
Yes.
a regular select board meeting. But.
Who seconded that? Did you second?
Second.
One of us, yeah.
I would think we would be holding that meeting at the town hall. And so we'll have to, I can't remember what the schedule is for the theater company, but
We have to work
have to
around them.
just work with them, but that's fine. And we'll just plan the way we plan for town meeting.
Okay.
So if we did it our next board meeting, which would be the 3rd, if I'm counting right, which sometimes I don't, it would be around the 2nd or 3rd. That would be the soonest we could hold. But that's
But we don't want to
July
do 4th of
4th,
July
so
weekend.
probably the week of
Week after.
8th?
8th. And I don't know, maybe a Saturday would be best to do this. That way everybody can be there. As many people as possible can be there, I should say. So that would be looking at July 13th. If my math is correct. Feel free to double check.
The 18th?
The 13th. Be a Saturday. Do we have to set that date now, or when you do the warning?
It's when you do the warning.
Yeah.
But that's far enough out.
Yeah.
It's fine. And that also means you could change it if, for whatever reason,
Right.
it needed to be further out.
Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor? Aye. Item 5, minutes approval, meeting of 5/6/2024.
I move to approve the minutes of the Select Board meeting of May 6, 2024.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Item 6, select board pay orders.
I move to approve pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 7 is announcements and correspondence. Do we have anything?
I can't think of anything.
Item 8 is visitors and concerned citizens.
Do we have any here?
Does anyone have anything to talk about here?
I'll speak.
Go ahead. Can you just state your name too when you speak?
Yep, my
Just
name is
for-
Tony Boston. Frankly, to me, the majority of this document, being this new proposed bylaw document, is shameful. It is clear that it was written with little to no concern of people's rights and freedoms, nor attention to the fact that these towns, being Londonderry and South Londonderry, were built by and continue to thrive on tradesmen and industrial work. This proposal will have drastic impacts on people's lives, businesses, and livelihoods, and freedom to use their property as they choose. I have a comprehensive document of all the sections and points that I feel necessary to call into question, but I understand the time is limited and may have a lot to say, or many have a lot to say, so I will spare everyone of my diving into each point and save that for a letter to the board and the commission, as well as the future meetings intended for that specifically. I do feel, though, that rushing to approve this with the intent of revising after the fact would be negligent at best, and to call the effects unintended consequences seems completely disingenuous, as these bylaws are written specifically to create these realities. Our town is not an HOA, and it shouldn't be regulated as such. I am saddened and disappointed to think that this is really the best that the commission can put forward and the final proposal. If this is the best they can do, then the whole document should be thrown away. Thank you.
If anyone else can speak?
Not anybody in here.
All right, seeing no hands. We'll move on to item 9. Town official business. 9A is town clerk, approval of special town meeting minutes of March 5th, 2024.
So you should all have seen those, and the original should have been with Shane, but maybe it's with Tina, and if not,
They have
They have it?
they have an original.
Yep.
it's just the minutes from the bond vote, which is
Right.
essentially adding the results of the vote.
I'm happy to move that. Okay. I move to approve the minutes of the special town meeting of March 5, 2024.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright. Moving on to 9B, town treasurer, consider new financial software.
In your packets, you have a little presentation that they gave me. And essentially, there is a cost to set it up. They also have website design as well, which we can add on at any time. We don't have to do that now, but we do have money in the budget to do that. And it's just for my financial software. It's not for the other stuff we buy from Nemrick, but it's comparable to their price. So it would just be a matter of approving the $2,000 to let me upgrade.
And then it's 3,600
A
each
year,
year thereafter, yeah.
And Nemrick's 5,500 with all.
And we do have money in next year. Budget starting July
Yes,
for
yep.
your website.
Yep.
So-
Yeah, we still have some in this year too.
Do you like the product for the
I
website
do,
piece
yeah.
too? I mean, the
Yes, it
finance,
was-
but yeah.
It was very easy to navigate, and it's very easy to post. It's,
So it might make sort of all points bulletins a little bit easier. Yep,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. And do other cities and towns
yeah, they have
use
a
this?
list
Is
of
there a list of
references.
consumers?
I did look at, I looked at some of the websites.
Right.
They're mainly in the Midwest right now. They're moving this way.
Yep.
Because they bought another company that's already here. But everything's remote anyway, so
Yep,
it doesn't
yep.
really matter.
I think that sounds good. Do we have to vote? Do you want us to vote?
Yes, I would like you to vote, please.
Yeah, let's see if I can wing it.
Oh, he didn't put that on.
I make a motion that the town engage G-Works, is that the name of it? For new financial software and for the tune of $2,000 for a one-time fee for implementation.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Aye. Yeah.
Item 10 is transfer station solid waste management. 10A is updates, and I have no updates at this time. Well, actually,
Where's-
hazard,
Oh, hazardous waste is June 1st at
hazardous
Flubber.
waste collection, June 1st, 9 to 1 at Floodbrook, I believe it would be.
Yep.
Item 11 is roads and bridges. 11A is updates. So Taylor is not here, and then Josh is not here. So I don't believe we have anything. Moving on to item 12, old business. And just to remind everybody, we modified this earlier in the meeting. So 12A is village wastewater project, consider engineering services agreements.
Oh, did you have the permits, the access permits?
Yeah, we had those to the end.
Okay.
Chrissy's here.
So a quick summary.
Could you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Chrissy Askins with Dufresne Group for the wastewater project. So you have the two engineering services agreements, one for the North Village, one for the South Village. These are the final design and permitting scope, what the state calls step 2. So this is the next phase in the project. The agreements before you are standard EJCDC contracts. That is the required format for the funding. Any modifications to those are additions are shown in bold, deletions are shown in strikeouts, and most of those are required by the state. The state has reviewed the agreements, the drafts, and concurs with the reasonableness and eligibility for both the scope and the budget. So I'm just here to answer any questions you have, if any, on the agreements.
Nope. And we're sort of keeping on track in terms of time frame and
Correct,
completeness
yes.
and whatever we're supposed to
So
hit
when we
in
were
terms of
here last,
benchmarks.
or when we had our, a couple presentations that we had, the schedule, we were talking that we had to have, permitting kind of working on permitting by June. The state has extended that. So now we have to have our permit applications in by September. So that's given us a little bit more time.
Great.
So we're still good with time, and just as a reminder, these two agreements for the engineering are 100% grant funded through the ARPA funding. So this is zero cost to the town.
Great,
Thank you.
great. Thank you, Chrissy. Thanks for your work.
Anyone can make that motion?
I move with regard to the I move to accept the proposal from Dufresne Group to provide engineering services related to the village wastewater projects. Estimated to cost $174,000 for the North Village area and $235,000 for the South Village area. To authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary for the hiring of the contractor to conduct the necessary work, including a service contract subject to approval of the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, and 3, authorize expenditures of up to $410,000 for this effort to be 100% reimbursed to the state of Vermont.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Want to do it again, Jim? There's a second one, right?
There's another one?
The project coordination.
This is for the next.
No, oh, the project coordination?
Yeah,
Both of these we're supposed to do, right?
no, this was B, that was B, now we're on the C, what was C before we changed it.
Okay.
So, we'll be on to 12B now, Village Wastewater Project, considered project coordination services agreement.
So I don't know a whole lot about this one. This has been between Shane and Wyndham Regional Commission, but again, it's the contract I know has been reviewed by the state. They have found it eligible for funding and reasonable for the scope. That's about the extent that I know about that one.
Yeah, this is just to have a member of Wyndham Regional be the project coordinator for the project.
Right.
Just keep it on track.
Yep, okay. I'm happy to move it.
Yep.
Okay, I move to, 1, accept the proposal from the Wyndham Regional Commission to provide project coordination services related to the design phase of the village wastewater projects, estimated to cost $21,362. 2, authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary for the hiring of the contractor to conduct the necessary work, including a service contract subject to the approval of the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. And 3, authorize the expenditure of up to $25,000 for this effort to be 100% reimbursed through the state of Vermont.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now moving on to 12C, discuss proposed zoning bylaw amendment.
Right.
So I have some prepared comments to read. I'll try to be as loud as possible. The town's legal counsel was contacted to get a better understanding of the process the select board is required to follow in the bylaw adoption process. Once the planning commission delivers the proposed zoning bylaws to the select board, we have no option but to start the process. The board can't vote to not accept the proposed bylaws, and there is no need to accept the proposed bylaws according to the state statute. The vote the board had on acceptance of the proposed bylaws was simply symbolic. Once the planning commission delivers the proposed bylaws to the select board, a public hearing is required to be held. State statute 4442, section A states a public hearing must be held by the select board not less than 15 days after proposed bylaw is submitted to the board, and no more than 120 days after submission. Once a public hearing has been held, the select board can vote to make changes to the bylaws. Once the changes are voted on, a second public hearing must be held to discuss the bylaws with the changes that were made, and the planning commission will have to amend their report to include the changes. The bylaws, including any changes made, must be submitted to the town clerk and the planning commission at least 10 days before the next public hearing is held, and will be posted on the town's website. There will be at least 2 public hearings in the future, one on the current proposed zoning bylaws and at least 1 more on the amended bylaws. So there is still time to have your concerns heard. Tonight is in no way your final chance to raise any concerns you may have.
Great, and Tom, can I add to that a little bit of preamble? I'm only learning this process, having been a select board member now for about 14, 15 months. I needed to go back and really understand why we got to this point. And so why are we in the business of revising bylaws? In case you're not aware, when we adopted a new town plan in 2017, the current bylaws needed to be aligned with that town plan. That's one. Number,
Excuse me, who's we?
excuse me?
Who's we?
The town.
The town.
We.
The town, excuse me, the town,
Thank
yep.
you.
Second, the town's bylaws needed to agree with current state laws and requirements. And 3, the town DRB and zoning administrator have identified problems with the current bylaws that affected the speed and efficacy of their interpretation and enforcement. So there was a precedent set. And so in 2018, the Select Board, this group, chose the Planning Commission to do the updated bylaws work. They began in March of 2018. The Planning Commission went out into the community to ask consumers, to ask various boards about concerns and the needs for improvement. The Planning Commission applied for a $20,000 grant to hire a consultant to lead them through this process. This is not an easy do. They hired in 2019 a consultant with a 2-year contract to work with us. The Select Board voted to match an additional award of $2,000. So there's another Select Board buy-in to the process. We've been bought in for a long time. The Select Board authorized another $3,000 award in order to get the project over the finish line. So the Planning Commission spent from 2018 to 2024 working on those bylaw revisions. This was not a fast process. And they had many public information sessions to do that. Now let me dial in very granularly to now the last month, okay? So on April 17th, the Planning Commission conducted a hearing. I'm going to be working and saying the same things Tom did here, but I needed to also understand this. The Planning Commission conducted a hearing on their proposed Uniform Development Regulations. These are UDRs. The Planning Commission voted to forward the UDR to the Select Board on 4/17. That's April 17th. On 4/28, just as a little bit of a hiccup, the Planning Commission rescinded that submission because they had to make a small clarifying fix to it. And then that same meeting, the Planning Commission voted to resend the UDR to the Select Board. On May 3rd, the Select Board received officially that document, the UDR, from the Planning Commission. Yes, it's quite thick. Last Monday was the Select Board meeting, which we had an agenda item to set the Select Board UDR hearing date, as Tom was talking about in there. The item was not voted. So that's why, in effect, tonight, on May 20th, we have an item, whatever it is now, 12, whatever number, 12B or A or C or whatever,
12C.
to discuss the proposed zoning bylaws. So I think at this point, I will defer to what Tom described as our next steps and your involvement in the process. Again, I'm a newbie. I'm learning as fast as my little feet can move me to do this, but my job is to reflect the needs of the whole community in whatever we decide to do with this enormous document of work. And the one thing I will say is I've learned that this document today represents information from many different sources that have already been existing, whether it's Act 250 or the like. This is a consolidation. That's why it looks big. That's why it may be a little bit more detailed in some sections, because we're pulling information in. And actually, Will, you're the best person to talk to this. I'm not. But that's kind of how we've gotten to the point we are here. We want to know what are concerns and unintended consequences to this work. Please hold your comments. We'll call on you folks and you get 3 minutes. But we are absolutely interested in what your concerns are. We want to make this workable. It's not that we're trying to make this West Hartford or Darien, Connecticut. What we're trying to do, please be patient. This is a civil conversation, and I get to tell you what I'm telling you. We are merely trying to create an environment in Londonderry that works best for everybody. That's what this is all about. It's not, there's no other agenda behind it. So those are my 2 cents as a Select Board member about how I'm hopeful we can move this along.
hold on. Board's having discussion first, and we'll get to you guys. So, I've gone through the bylaws, I don't even know how many times now, it makes my head hurt. And they're so complicated, restrictive, do not represent Londonderry, that the average person from the public, it's unreasonable to believe that they could ever go through these bylaws and make sense of anything. I have multiple places where I have issues. Will himself has already said that quite a few parts in this is unenforceable. And if it's not enforceable, it should not be an illegal document. I mean, when even your zoning administrator has his own concerns, it's not, I don't know what to tell you there. There's problems.
Well, and again, you're speaking for Tom Kavanaugh, right? Yeah. Not the select board.
I think he's speaking
Thank you, John.
Is doing nothing an option?
Not now. Once the planning commission gives us these bylaws, we are required, this is why we went over this process with the town attorney today. We are now required to have a public hearing. That public hearing, you could vote not to do anything, just say no, we don't agree with this, or the select board can start to make changes ourselves. And I think the select board needs to make some changes. That way we move this along and we get to the finish line. And I've already asked Will to go through and redline everything that he believes is unenforceable in this document.
Tom?
Just a minute, sorry. Any further discussion, or can we open up to the public?
Go for it, I think that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the easiest and best way for all of these people here to voice their concerns directly to the select board so that each individual thing that they're in question of can be addressed?
I would say a great way to do it is, one, show up to meetings. You'll have your chance to speak at the public hearing, but also feel free to email us with any concerns you have. If you don't want to state them tonight, our emails are online, available to everybody, and we will gladly accept any advice, criticism, anything.
What if we had a show of hands tonight?
No,
There's no way to vote.
we're not voting that way.
Sir, could you state your name, please, sir?
My name is Dominic Putin. I have a million concerns with this, but my question would be, as stated by Martha earlier, we're trying to be in compliance with Vermont law for certain things. Where can we get what things we have to do? Because this seems like an HOA gone crazy, like way beyond what Vermont says we have to do. So what is it that we're required to do, and then what else was just added on top?
I'm going to let Will answer that.
I think when I have a draft that's notes on everything, that'll be obvious. I'll write in, for notes, I'll write this is a state regulation in the margin.
Okay.
You know, anything having to do with water, flooding, wetlands, erosion, stormwater treatment, that's going to be from the state. That's a large amount of what's from the state.
I grew up out of state.
State your name.
We go there, Joey G, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
We can't change this.
Joe, do.
Where we grew up here. I don't know what's gonna happen. Everything is changing, moving way too fast. Keep it the way it is. What's wrong with that? That's all I got to say, and I'm going home and mow my lawn.
She had her hand up first, didn't you?
Maya Drummond. This draft, as it's written, cuts our lodging license by more than half. It also creates for us not to be able to provide affordable workforce housing because it precludes us from having anyone for more than 30 days. We can't have visiting nurses who are on a 3-month contract. We can't have people coming to work for summer or winter jobs. And I had 2 people yesterday that lived in our place ask if they were going to be homeless soon, and they were terrified. So, I don't think that maybe people are aware of how important it is to have affordable housing, that people don't have to sign for a whole year, and they have a place they can come and stay, for more than 30 days. And we've been doing that. I've been there over 24 years, as you know. So, anyway, that's all.
Well, the bylaws only affect new
Yes.
development, but also there, places it is allowed to have people for more than 30 days under.
I think page 60 and 61 of this document.
What section are you under?
I think this brings into what I was talking about. The reasonable person cannot go through this and actually come up with anything.
Yeah, it says only 24 people, and it says not house any guest for a continuous period of 30 days or more. That's section 3211A. A lodging facility must not house any guest for a continuous period of 30 days or more. Another one says maximum number of guests that may be accommodated in a lodging facility is regulated by district. We fall in the VNE district, and it says 24 maximum.
I think you would be considered a boarding house, or there's another category besides boarding house, which is places that are over 30 days.
But we do have a lodging license from the state, 50. And that would be for hotel guests. We are licensed for 50 overnight guests at present, and we've had the license for Londonderry for 83 years. So I don't understand why the planning commission would be able to reduce it down to 24.
I don't see anything in the bylaws that does.
Well, I'm looking at 3211.
Are you starting a new hotel, or is it existing?
Your grandfather Dan.
Does it specify which it is in the bylaws, the new bylaws?
However, I
can address your situation specifically.
Yeah,
I have one question,
it says
though.
existing lodging establishments are exempt from this. I don't see that in here. So I was very concerned.
Existing structures are grandfathered from new zoning. However, if you start to do more work, then you will become under this zoning.
Right, but I think mine could legitimately be a boarding house, and
Well, I'm
that would be.
trying to clarify a point about the
Right.
grandfather. There's a certain point where you are not grandfathered anymore once you start doing work and require more
Right, if you
zoning.
change it, yeah.
So,
So I have a question, Anna Stoddard. When they did the consulting for these bylaws, or they went and they asked businesses or the other boards about the bylaws, to get the bylaws that you had, did anybody come around to any homeowners that have businesses and ask what they thought, how it would affect their business, what they do for a business? And I'm just going to say, I guarantee they did not go to any resident to come up with those own bylaws, because if they had, none of these people would be standing in this room for their businesses and their livelihood that those bylaws are going to affect.
Well, were you involved with the consultant?
No, I started after.
You started afterwards, okay.
just to
I
answer
can't
your question, I don't think anyone here can answer that question.
I can't answer that.
Okay, because that would just be my assumption, that we're all standing here because we all have the same views and everything of the bylaws, and had that been done, none of us would be here because we kind of all do the same thing, and it affects every single one of us in this room. In the hallway, outside, wherever people are.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a comment regarding
Name,
the burden of proof.
Name,
What's your name?
Sorry, I'm Maud Masiak. Okay, so the burden of proof stipulation, and I didn't put the exact number, I apologize, but to me, I moved to Londonderry because I love this place, I love the community feeling, and seeing that essentially neighbors could turn against neighbors without the involvement of the jurisdiction that imposed those laws is going to create a bunch of conflicts. I personally live between a woodworking neighbor and a neighbor that have cars and have parties on regular basis. I'm fine. Like it's not gonna bother us. We close our windows if we're bothered. We go see them if we're bothered. Creating those very detailed, minutious regulations in a small community like this is just a recipe for disaster.
Sir.
Brandon Sanders. If I may, I'm confused why the legislation to comply with new state regulations is being rolled into this large document as one large thing being put forward. I understand that these documents have so much inertia and so much work behind them, but there's a lot more scope here, I think, that is necessary to just comply with what the state is asking for. And like she said, it would really go to diminish the quality of this village and our trust in each other if we have a legal incentive to telling each other or otherwise do things that we don't have to do to comply with state regulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Leonie, did you already speak, sir?
He didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I missed you, sorry. Go ahead.
This book here is what we're all here for. I read most of it. This is like the Affordable Care Act. It doesn't represent everybody. It only represents Darien. All the towns that want to have a lockstep in Londonderry. And it ain't gonna work. Hopefully there's enough people here to keep Londonderry the way it is, the way it's always been. It survived this long, it will, without none of you people forcing garbage like this on us. 6 acres for a dog farm. Who's got 6 acres for a dog farm? You're gonna tell me I have to put a special light bulb so I don't blind people driving down Hill Street Road? No, your people going too far, too far.
Sir?
My name is Jim Wilbur. We became aware of this maybe 6 months ago, and so I began reading the document. I fell asleep 3 times doing it because it's so extensive. Without kidding about it, as I recall, the town plan has about 76 pages to it before this started, and this document was going to add 200 and some pages just for zoning. Seemed a little out of whack in terms of the various issues in the town plan. The thing I wanted to really emphasize, though, is what we've heard in different ways, and that's that the consultant who was hired, who I think was inappropriate, inexperienced, had a sort of computer-like program in which she went from town to town to town. You can go to her website and look. You don't have to believe me. At least 14 towns in Vermont, and did the same thing, which was take a bunch of rules which applied to an environment not like ours, and as near as I can tell, didn't talk to people very much, and went cookie cutter, cookie cutter, cookie cutter, cookie cutter, and so if everybody did this, then we'll be all like Dorset. Just as one final thing, I spoke to one of the planning people in Dorset, and they said, well, this looked pretty good to them. I said, well, I got a problem. One of the rules in here, and I know this gentleman did read it because there's really odd things in there, that if we had a car wash in town, it couldn't be perpendicular to the road, because if you drove by, you'd see them washing cars. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. So I brought it up to the planning person in Dorset, you know what they said? Oh, of course, we wouldn't want to see them washing cars. So it makes my point that if you go through all this, as I tried to, but I didn't, okay, that you'll find a lot of things that maybe one town might like, another might like. But when you go boom, 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 that's why we've got a problem.
Tom, Mike Harrison.
Mike Harris, I asked the same question at town meeting in regard to the short-term rental new laws and penalties. So enforcement comes up, and I guess twofold. How is enforcement going to happen? And as far as the select board of the town's concerned, what if? So what if most of these people don't comply? And how is that going to be enforced? Because you're going to have a mutiny on your hands. So I would just like to know the plan and how are you going to enforce this? And what if people don't comply?
I think the plan is to have Will go through and take out everything he believes is unenforceable. Start there and continue to look at it.
There's a few pages in there that can go.
Sure. But if they don't, because we all in this room have been through this, we know that not everything is going to go. It's not going to stay the same. So then what is the enforcement and what if? How is it going to be enforced?
It's written that there's penalties. They're going to create a new position of the enforcement officer. The first offense would be $200, second is $400, and third offense is $800. You have 7 days to respond. Every day after 7 days is a new violation. After 4 violations, it's actionable in court.
Yeah, the way the town enforces their bylaws is you get a zoning violation. If you don't bring it into compliance, then we have to go to the Vermont Environmental Court. We have always tried to work with landowners to bring things into compliance if we can. Cindy?
I started this. Cindy Dryden. My husband is Jim Dryden. He's lived here all his life. He's worked for all the companies throughout his life. Right now he's working for 100 Kelsers. If you guys decide that this, and this needs to be in compliant, you're taking his job away. He's 72 years old. He's not going to start over. He doesn't want change. A little bit goes a long way. He likes where he works. He likes who he works with. He loves this town, or he would have left years ago. His house is at the bottom of Winhall Road there, down by the...
Winhall Station.
Yes, thank you. My mouth is going a mile. He's never changed. This whole thing blew him up totally, to think that you were going to cut jobs, you were going to change a lot of stuff that doesn't
Going to do that, but okay.
We're a small little town with small little people making a living. And that whole paperwork is just slapping a lot of the people in the face, whether they've been here or they've been here all their life. It's too much, too fast. It needs to slow down like the old Londonderry used to be. Slow and steady wins the race. Thank you.
I'm as old school as anybody in here. I've been here all my life too, but change is inevitable. Things move along. They don't have to move along at a pace we can't stand, but things do move forward. We're talking about a wastewater system. That's a step forward. You know, we're talking about doing some things here in town that are steps forward. And we just can't live in the horse and buggies as nice as it was.
I don't see any horse and buggies.
What's wrong with horse and buggy?
Nothing's wrong with them. But don't you drive a car?
Well, we do drive a car, but what does it have to do with these laws that you're trying to pass? It's beyond ridiculous.
You opened up a bunch of books.
Oh, Bonnie.
You can't bury your head in the
I
sand.
just would like to know, as far as procedure-wise for boards and committees, that when there's a public hearing, why can't people ask questions and get answers? I mean, one public hearing, or more than one that I've been to, you could make a comment, but you could not ask a question and get an answer. Well, how is anybody going to find out what they need to know if they can't ask?
Yeah, I saw that, I wasn't running that meeting, so I don't know if that's. is that-
Which one are we talking about?
Talking about the last- The last planning commission.
Planning commission.
There was one guest in the room. There was one guest in the room.
She was on Zoom.
No, she said, the chairperson said at the beginning of the meeting
Yeah.
that there will be comments only. There will not be any questions
Oh, I'm sorry, I take that
or
back.
answers.
I take that back. That's the
And if
one.
you watch the video, she says it right in the beginning of the meeting.
Is there any reason?
And that was a public hearing.
No.
No, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
any
know.
reason you can think of there?
No,
Well, no one here
We don't
can
know.
tell you why that was.
Is it legal? I mean, can
Yeah.
they stop you from voicing or asking questions?
That we would have to ask the town attorney, but I would think probably not.
We want to hear. We want to hear.
But that is what was stated.
Doug has an answer.
Doug has an answer.
So, the public has a right to speak at all public meetings. They have to be reasonable and meet a reasonable time, and all of that is up to the chairperson. So the chairperson has the right to make the rules. The chairperson also has to allow the public to speak if they so want to. Why the chairperson made that rule, I don't understand.
I don't either.
So that might be something that needs to be brought up with that particular chairperson. But the public has a right to speak, absolutely, and ask questions.
So what you're saying is, the chairperson, if they don't like the question you're asking, can tell you you can't ask it.
No, it can't, it has to be, it has to be a rule.
It has to be-
It has to be a rule that's decided on at the beginning of the meeting, and it has to apply to all people fairly. So if the chairperson said, nobody can do it, and nobody can do it, period, the chairperson can't pick and choose who can say what. It has, public has to be allowed to voice their opinions. But I'm reading the rules right now, and it's, the main word is reasonable, and who knows how to define reasonable?
Who decides what's reasonable?
Right, exactly.
Exactly. I think a lot of things that I say are reasonable, but a lot of people don't. How you look at it. Well, especially this one.
We had one in the back first. Please.
My name's Alicia Burrows, and I moved here 7 years ago because I came from a small town that started like Londonderry. They, just like you guys, started passing bylaws, and within 10 years, the tiny town that I grew up in did not exist. We had strip malls, we had housing, we had Section 8s. They have 5 methadone clinics in one single town now. Because once you start this slope, there is no stopping it. It will grow and grow. Progression is a part of life, but there's a limited amount that we have to have. We moved here because we wanted a slower life. If we wanted that other life, I would have stayed back in Maryland where I was.
Rebecca Scandera. Just a curiosity, not necessarily to just the table, but to the room. Many people have repeated an assumption. If it's allowable, may I see anybody raise their hand who was approached and questioned about anything we're talking about?
All allowed.
It's allowed. Has anybody been approached Any business owners, homeowners, landowners, concerned citizens? Well, no more speculation for the people that are present in this room. Thank you.
Anyone back here? We're only doing one comment tonight apiece.
You can't talk a second time.
Yeah. We're not trying to silence everyone, we're just trying to get through the meeting before midnight. But there will be more public hearings. Terry.
Terry Merman. I want to come off of Bonnie's question. Can the select board guarantee us that during the public hearing that we will be able to ask questions? Or will it be just comments and?
I will not tell you you cannot ask a question.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam McClark. I'm one of the listers in the town. And I just want to say that Jeremiah and I work with Will almost, every time that I'm in the office and times when I'm not, that Jeremiah handles it. But we had 145 permits this year. That tells me that the people in this town are reasonable about getting the permits that they need to have to do things. So they're following the rules, and they should have a right to question. Since they're being forthcoming, they should have a right to question some of the rules that they think are unfair.
Anyone else care to speak?
Just a suggestion that maybe the new rules or whatsoever should say clearly that folks are going to be grandfathered in, and this is just only for new development and what have you.
It's in there.
Certain parts it said that, but not like the whole thing, so.
It's in the
just needs to be
summary,
more
I believe,
clearly
yeah.
stated.
The consultant you guys...
State your name, please.
Frank Johnson. The consultant you guys have that came up with all these ideas, obviously nobody in this room was questioned by him. So where did he come up with this? Does anybody know?
She's one of the top consultants for the state, maybe not for small towns. But she's written all kinds of zoning bylaws for lots of towns.
Burlington,
I don't know.
But as a town, don't we have the right to know where she comes up with these ideas? Because obviously, like a lot of people have said, they don't fit this town. They might fit Burlington, they might fit homeowners association places, but most of the stuff is total garbage for Londonderry. So I'm sure everybody would like to know where these ideas came up from.
Yes.
I can't say for sure, but I have a feeling a lot of them were probably borrowed from other towns.
Yeah, big cities like
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
What is that? I can't say for sure.
Yeah, we don't know.
Chad.
Chad Sauer. I've read this 218 pages front and back, front and back, front and back. I've had conversations with Tom about it. I gave Tom 6 handwritten pages of notes, so I don't remember everything. Somewhere in section 4 it talks about enforcement, and they're talking about enforcement for building. And my question is, it states in section 4 somewhere, maybe section 5, that the board would appoint an administrator for the enforcement of development. My question is that person going to be a certified or licensed electrician, a plumber? Is that person going to know about weight loads for buildings when they're framing? Are they going to be licensed in concrete, and how about excavation, trim, roofing, heating, cooling? You're just going to appoint somebody out of the town?
The town doesn't do that in Vermont. It's a state responsibility. All the town would do would be...
It states in the document that they would appoint an administrator to oversee new development. So the town was
Just the
going
zone.
to stay with it.
It's just a zone. And anything having to do with residential, there's no codes, or 1 and 2 family homes, there's no codes, building codes. And multifamily homing and commercial, it's all handled by the state.
So why put a section in there about enforcement then?
That's about the person who enforces zoning, that section.
So is that person going to be certified in all aspects from digging a hole to finishing a home?
No, that person will only be certified in zoning, and the state will take care of any codes that are required by the state.
And we have how many state electrical
beyond 3 minutes.
2, maybe 4, and same with plumbing inspectors and fire inspectors, I think. There must be a fireman in here. What do we have? 2 fire inspectors for the whole state of Vermont?
It would be incredibly expensive to have a building inspector in London.
And then projects are going to be held up because the state inspectors may be in Burlington today and Bennington tomorrow, and then maybe Chester the next day. And somewhere along that route, they're going to swing by and see every job site in the town of Londonderry to allow them to continue the process of building.
That's going to be no different from what it is now.
So then why is it in the bylaws? Proposed bylaws.
What's in the bylaws is just saying that the town can have someone to enforce zoning. That's all that's in.
With no certification. That's all.
They're only doing zoning, and you don't need a certification to do zoning.
I believe plumbers and electricians in Vermont have to be certified.
Right,
licensed.
exactly. The state takes care of that.
And so should the inspectors and everything else be certified?
The state takes care of that. Anything that needs a certification is state.
All right. We've reached the time limit. I'm sorry. You've already spoken, sir. We're just doing one comment tonight.
George Cleveland again. That gentleman asked a question about who wrote all this stuff in this garbage book. That lady on the end there, when she started to read off how this all came about, they assigned somebody to a grant to start it, and then $20,000 a pop into somebody from, not here.
Sir, you have to express the board. You have to speak to the board, not to the members.
Well, I'm sorry, I speak to the board. I hope you hear me, because I'm a very quiet person, but I have a very loud voice when I get angry.
Basically, we just $20,000 on somebody that knows nothing about this.
That's enough.
No, you get all your information from the wrong people. People that don't belong here are telling you.
Sir.
I get into this stuff.
Let's be civil.
So, as requested that I was a parliamentarian for this meeting, one of the requirements for public comment is that we maintain order. And we will do that, and that includes not having back and forth. The rule was one person gets to speak, and questions will be answered. They get to speak for a reasonable amount of time. So I will ask everybody in the body to adhere by that.
What's reasonable?
3 minutes is what the select board rule is. It's in our rules and procedures. And with this many people, we have to enforce it. Otherwise, we'll be here forever.
It's not reasonable.
Amy Corwin, seasonal resident for a very long time, voter on the voting rolls for the last couple of years. I've had some administrative experience. I feel a little bad for the planning commission. They worked hard, but I know what happens. You get a bunch of documents, and you pick what looks good out of this, you pick what looks good out of that, and the consultant guides this, and you end up with something which is too long for the people in this room to make sense of. And I would suggest, if I still have any time in my 3 minutes, that this document be cut into pieces which are manageable size, and we come to adopting them, adopt manageable size pieces rather than the whole shoot and match, because we're going to end up
Anyone else?
I
behind you.
I'm Emily Edward. I read through this, I read all kinds of comments from lots of people on social media. And so many of these suggested rules and regulations will hurt so many people in different ways. Like, somebody in town is going to be building an addition on his house, but he can't do it after 5 o'clock and he works until 5. You gotta have a little bit of leeway. And the guys that sell firewood, once in a while we sell a load of firewood, and the person requests that it be delivered on Saturday or Sunday when they're there. Can't do it, sorry, you gotta go without the firewood. And your 10 cars on your road or your driveway. 10 cars is not even enough for me to have the Underwood Christmas, because there's so many in the family, we have more than 10 cars. So I just think it's hurting a lot of people in different ways, and that it really should be fine-tuned a lot to get it that way, because I can look around here and I can see a lot of people that it's going to hurt in one way or another, and I don't think it's fair. And I've been here for 56 years, but I really grew up in Rawsonville in Jamaica, so I've been here quite a while.
Kristen Bryan. I just have a question. When you guys go through and revise all the things, like how long is that process to take? Like,
We have a time limit, don't we?
You were saying it's like 30 days. Do you guys have meetings like once a month or?
We have meetings twice a month, first and third Mondays. And as far as the process is going to take, it's going to take 15 days to warn a public hearing. Have that public hearing, and hopefully we have a good start on revising and amending the bylaws. Then there will be another 15 days to warn the second public meeting on the amended bylaws. And then if that passes, it could pass that night, that day. Then it's 21 days before it goes into effect. Yep. Anyone else who hasn't spoken?
And I suggest you do it up to town hall instead of in here.
Yeah, this is a select board meeting, it's not a hearing.
That's right.
Larry had you talk, I'm sorry. For the rules tonight, just one comment.
May I give my 3 minutes to Jim?
Procedure, can you pass these 3 minutes to another individual? No. Why not? Under parliamentary procedure, is that legal or is it not?
I wouldn't think so.
Each person gets 3 minutes. There's not a rule that says they can pass one to another.
Is there a rule?
Because there's a rule in Congress that you can do that. There isn't a rule here that says you can do that. We are trying to make everything fair tonight. Everybody gets their one comment. There will be more meetings where people will be able to speak. So, we're not trying to silence anyone, we're trying to give everybody their opportunity to speak before midnight. First,
I just had one question. Trevor Powers. In the beginning, like you said, the planning commission spoke and did interviews with a lot of businesses and peoples when creating the bylaws and all this stuff. Is there any documentation of the people that they actually spoke to, or the people or businesses or anything like that?
I don't know. I asked a planning commission member how the process rolled out. That was one planning commission member's recollection.
So we don't actually know if they talked to anybody?
We don't know. No.
Is it true that if it does pass, if 5% of people come out and vote it down, it will be overturned?
No, it would be 5%. You have to have a petition of 5% of the registered voters, which I believe is like 92 people at this point. But that's to have it be a town vote, not the select board voting on it. That's not to,
So that would force it to a town vote rather than you guys?
yes.
Yeah, we've got 92 people in this room.
Jim.
Jim.
I have a question, but a comment. I just really hope that the board members that are here tonight understand how many people are here. They're lined up out the door. This is the backbone of Londonderry that's here. I hope you're listening, and I hope you take the words to heart. It's very important. I've served a long time on that board. It's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's up? Steve,
I don't want to echo what Jim just said. There's a lot of people I know here, which is unusual for a town meeting. I go to the town meeting in March, and I don't know anybody.
Thanks for the reminder.
Friends and neighbors, I'm glad you came. And to echo what Jim said, we still have to make progress. In Vermont, we've got a much bigger government in Montpelier than we did when I was a kid. Because of that bigger government, there's bigger requirements on our towns. Look at the size of our own government here. We've got a town administrator, we've got a full-time zoning guy. We got a guy that's gonna go around and make sure Airbnbs comply. It is a changing world for us. And those are things that are kind of mandated upon us that we have to respond to. I want to say right now, I think you guys are doing as good a job as you can do with this mess. And I appreciate it. Going forward, I think that when this is done and over, we might want to look at how word could get out more effectively. Because none of us here, I don't think, went to any of those planning commission meetings. I myself feel a little ashamed because I like to be involved with stuff. I didn't go to a single one of them. And now I'm just as mad as everyone else. And in a way, I have myself to blame for that. So they say politics is local. Well, here we are. We're woke up now. And we should be involved civilly and discuss like we've done tonight. Everyone gets a pat on the back and a piece from me for that. And have a good evening, everybody.
Just one thing to clarify about Steve's remarks, our zoning administrator is part-time.
Well, then you don't count.
Any further questions or comments?
I know I've already spoke, but are we gonna do a better job of informing the community?
We will do our best.
Any suggestions?
Somebody managed to get a letter to the whole town?
We're back and forth again.
All right.
I spoke already, sorry, but someone asked if we had suggestion. I have a suggestion.
We can't let her.
No, sorry.
We can't, sorry.
But, like I said, there will be more chances for you to speak though. At another meeting. What?
Hi, my name is Brooke Cody. I'm a local for the last 8 years. Start a timer because I've got a lot to say and I don't want to waste anyone else's time.
Thank you.
But I've been really frustrated sitting here trying to think of the most important things that I want to get across within 3 minutes. But really there's too many they're all important. I mean, there's so much stuff in that 218-page booklet. Send that whole thing back. The Planning Commission should be revised also because if they're the ones that typed that up and they took years to put it together, that's shameful.
Here, here.
You're wasting everything. And for people like me, I had to get babysitters. I had to prep multiple things to be able to come here tonight. And I will be the first one to say no one probably, or not a lot of people know me, but you're going to, because I will be at every meeting that I possibly can be. And I hope other people that are uncomfortable and don't know the process start too, because I'm starting from scratch. I don't know. But before my minutes run out, I want to point out, I think it's sad that the select board could only post it in the post office and online. There are people in this community that do not have internet, that can't go on your website. And not to point anyone out, but Mr. Fleming, I was thoroughly disappointed in your specific comment when you said that you didn't care if someone got their mail by pigeon or by sack. Well, you're the select board. You should. It's your job to make it known. And for other people to have to spend money to get the word out for the town, that's doing your job. And it's very frustrating. Within the last 4 days, I've had to basically take time off of work to go through this 218-page document just to feel like I can voice something and semi-know what I'm talking about. That should be written to a 5-year-old so everyone can understand it. I shouldn't have to sit down with a dictionary and go through and try to juggle this section, that section. The whole entire thing, I think, is definitely not worth 25 grand, if that's what earlier you were saying that document cost. That's ridiculous, and I hope that we have receipts for that.
Well,
Because if she didn't ask, if I'm still on the clock, I'm still on the clock.
Yep, 2 minutes, 24 seconds.
Great. If we are paying someone to do their job and they're not doing their job, we should be getting our money back or finding someone to do that job. We wouldn't be wasting our time here tonight if that person did do their job. Thankfully, other people did not do their job and town took over and got the word out, and there's a lot of businesses here tonight that are here for just that, to take back the town.
Nick Dome, at the public hearing, is there going to be time limits like there is tonight, or will everybody actually be able to get all their questions out? And as the meeting progresses and as the hearing progresses, and you think of another question like Jim has, are you going to be able to raise your hand again, or are you going to have to wait until the end of the meeting and go, okay, which point was the most important that I want to talk about?
I think at a hearing, we're gonna have to allow people to speak quite a bit.
I mean, just watching Brooke, wait for that opportune moment to voice everything that she thought she needed to. And no offense to Martha, but having somebody watching a clock while you're trying to talk, it not only rushes you, but it dishevels you, and so you don't make the
You do that in every meeting that I have watched. I'm sorry.
Yeah, public hearing is different than a select board
You're not
meeting.
changing it.
Can you remind them that they can put it in writing and submit it to the various select board?
Can we call for recusals, because her husband's on the planning commission and she's obviously been incredibly biased this entire process.
He lives in Weston.
I don't live in Weston.
He lives in Londonderry.
You don't know where I live.
Well, I thought you
Again, the
lived in
bias,
Weston.
I think there should be a recusal.
Great, we'll let the chairman decide.
Order, Mr. Chairman, no back and forth, as I recall.
Excuse me?
I recall that the rule was not back and forth between individuals in the room.
You are correct. That's why I called for order.
Right behind you, Tom.
My name is Ben Sargent. My problem has been that I understand and respect all the hard work that you guys have done, and I understand and respect everybody in this room, and I love this community, and I love this town. I have been made enemy number one on my road by someone who came here 2.5 years ago, has turned me into enemy number one, has turned all my neighbors against me, neighbors who loved me, loved my mom loved them. They have driven a stake in between me and my neighbors because of my Airbnb business. Guess what? I've never once had a single problem with anyone on this road until this guy showed up. He was able to get himself elected. He is now an elected member who is making rules and regulations. He is harassing me. He is harassing my family. He is making me hated on my road by the very people that I grew up with, the kids that I played with as a young child. This person has made my life a living hell in this town. I am this close to calling it quits, and I understand that some of my neighbors would be very happy about that. They harass my electrician when he's working. I have every permit I need. I have everything that is required. I have spoken to every single neighbor. Would you like to have a coffee with me? Could we go out and have a beer together? Because I'm not here to disrupt the road, and I'm not here to hurt anyone. And I'm so sick of it, and it's hurting my family, and it's hurting me, and it's hurting me that I'm not being heard. And I want this person taken off the committee, and I want everyone to start to listen and to start to respect each other. And I am here for all of you, and you are here for all of us. And I have no problem with the board. I just think that when you get elected, you have to be elected as somebody who is unbiased, who is fair, and who is kind-hearted. Not somebody who goes on my Instagram page as undercover, somebody who is, I've been inspected 25 times. When I know every single person in this neighborhood, I talk to them, I say, why am I being inspected? He goes, Ben, you don't even have to be inspected. I am here because you are opening the doors to me. And I said, well, how is that the case? Okay? That's it. All I'm saying is, these are my friends. These are people who I love on my road and in my neighborhood. And I'd like to keep it that
The individual you're talking about, I believe, is appointed, and please send the entire select board a letter with your concerns. Thank you. Anyone else tonight?
Let's go get a beer.
Jordan, really everything we're talking about though, it's all can be voted, it's all gonna be voted on, like through this. I mean, obviously there's heated people, but really, at this point, nothing's gonna pass without the town voting on it, right? Or is it something where it's just all one?
No, until there is a petition with 5% of the town voters on it, requesting a public vote on this, it's up to the select board.
So there'd be like 218 of those then if everybody wanted to do that? Or could it be the whole zoning bylaw thing, like the people get together and say, like, we just need to call it quits, let's redo it, kind of thing? Is that how
We have to have the hearings first.
We have to have the hearings first.
We are obligated to have the hearing after talking to legal counsel. There's no, we can't just punt it back to the planning commission right now.
Right.
So we either have to hold a public hearing and we can vote the whole thing down.
Right.
And then it's up to the planning commission to see if they want to come back with something or.
Right, so there's.
Or
yeah.
we can, as a board, we can work to amend it and come back with something that we feel is more representative of town.
And then if the town agrees to that, then they would allow the vote, but if they don't, the town, the 5% could.
Yeah, you'd have to trigger it. The board can vote to have it voted on by the town themselves, or you guys can take it into your own hands. Once there is something to vote on, we have to get through the public hearings.
Right.
Or you guys can take it into your own hands and require a public vote.
Right, but it's all by power of vote, so really, that's, yeah, okay. I think that's, sorry, there's more of a question.
No problem. Wait, you had your hand up?
Me?
Yep.
I just want to say that in the future, I hope individuals aren't attacked at this meeting.
Absolutely.
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
I just wanted to say that in the future, and people expressing their feelings, that individual people are not attacked.
Any further questions before the board has more discussion?
I'm Kim Ray, I'm from South Londonderry, and I just had a question about
the South Londonderry master plan and the North study master plan, are those related to the zoning somehow?
No.
No, totally different.
No, when it refers to town plan and the zoning, that's a separate document. That's a town plan. That's nothing to do with the master plans.
Right, okay.
Stop that.
Yeah, I went to the meeting and, I think there was only been one meeting so far for that. But, they said they looked at the master plan done by January of 2025. So I was wondering how all that kind of worked too, because I don't really know. And I also agree with, the communication part. If there were different ways to communicate, I think, somebody put an agenda on the forum, which is great, because at least you could kind of see what was happening. And I know there's a lot of people like Henry that they don't have a computer or really don't have access to different ways to find out what's going on. So I think this is kind of a blessing in disguise, because hopefully it'll open up communication of what's going on in town.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Did I understand you right, that you guys can review what's going on here and reject this thing yourselves? That we don't need?
No, we have to hold a public hearing. It's required.
But you guys as the select board can reject this?
Yes. After the public hearing, we could. Or we can amend it. Sorry. All right.
I just,
No.
Why does she get,
no.
yeah, she
We
can't.
gotta keep it fair to everyone. All right, seeing no other hands?
How many people are here?
I counted about 80 here and probably 100 altogether.
I couldn't tell you. I can't see all of them.
Tom, there is a sign-in sheet going around.
Reinforce it, yeah.
And if we could pass the sign-in sheet around, or if anyone can sign in.
It's already moving.
It's already going on.
All right. Thank you all for showing up, and thank you all for your comments. Thank you. They just not the sign-in sheet out there.
Yes, there's a lot of people already leaving. For this, no. No, that'll be.
I'd just like to say thank you all again. This is what town government is all about.
I'll be here next time.
Yes. I'm sorry about that. I think it was the last name for Rusty. They just said Rusty, that's it.
Thank you so much, sweetheart, yeah. Remind me of your name. Martha. Yeah. That's right, thank you, yeah. No, every little bit helps. Thank you.
Nice to see all those people here. Yeah, absolutely.
What makes this town run?
You do.
What we need.
Good to see you.
Really, they don't.
All right.
Where are we now?
Congratulations, sir. Cool. Should have said I'm not only 2 years on the board, but my parents owned the place since 1934.
We got a vacancy.
What?
We got a vacancy.
Tom, you might want to
Select
just continue on.
I think I need at least 1 more year to make sure that I'm not going to want to pick somebody in the unmentioned points.
Okay.
When I left Rutgers University, I was so angry at so many things that I was really afraid I was going to hit somebody.
Thank you for your comments.
Try to be helpful.
Well, keep coming.
Well, yeah.
Every chance you can.
Well, now that I know how to get here.
Tom, we need to move this along.
When I first signed on to
we gotta get back to our business.
Have a good evening.
Well, they're not sticking around for the vote.
Alright, so we are required by law to have this public hearing. Might as well get to it, I guess.
Get to it.
When do we want to have it?
Yeah.
Do we have a date?
Well, we had a question for Will about timing for notice requirements.
Like paper.
Well, the newspaper goes in on a Friday, comes out on a Wednesday, and you have to, so you have to add that to your
timeline.
Yeah. So it has to be the Friday before the Wednesday before 2 weeks before.
Before the 15 days start.
Yeah.
So what? Now I'm trying to remember what date we were.
It's almost a month.
We said the 18th?
A month is always enough, but sometimes you can get away with a little
We
less.
said July 13th. For the election.
Are you done with me?
I don't know.
I think so.
Give us a few seconds to wait to get this over. Yeah, can you guys keep it down or please go outside for a second? Go ahead.
If the board decides on a date tonight, could you get the warning out to the newspaper by the end of the week?
Yes, on Tuesday, if you give me the details on Tuesday, I'll write a draft and we'll just have someone proofread it. I'll send it in.
Because we were initially looking,
On Wednesday, sorry.
I think we were initially looking at.
Tomorrow Wednesday or the next Wednesday? Or,
No, day after tomorrow Wednesday. Don't confuse me any more than.
If they decide on a date tonight and have that information to you by Wednesday, which is 2 days from now,
Yes,
you could get the warning out
Yes.
to all the appropriate places in time.
yes.
Okay.
Which newspaper?
the Vermont Journal.
The Vermont Journal. It's about the only newspaper there is in the area that goes around anymore.
More than 2 pages.
Record.
Yeah.
So that gets, if you get
We
it,
were talking about the 17th there.
right, but if the 29th is when it would come out in the paper, the following week, yeah.
June 17th?
That's a normally scheduled select board date, right?
Right, so that's the 17th, that's what we were.
Would still be good.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually just good.
Do you have, somewhere I can find the old ones to cut and paste?
Yep.
The old.
The announcements, previous announcements?
Probably Shane has them, it's probably.
He might want to write it.
He's watching. Say hello to Shane.
He's watching from Ireland.
Hey, Shane.
This is gonna be the,
So,
bylaws public hearing.
He said he could handle the notice on Friday.
oh, you emailed him already?
Texted me.
Who did?
Shane.
It's late over there.
I hope you're having a beer, Shane.
I think he's having whiskey.
He's okay with the 17th?
Yeah, he said he can handle the notice on Friday.
And it's okay for the hearing to be on the same night.
We just disregarded everything else.
Well, we need the notice by Wednesday.
No, it has to go in by Friday and it comes out.
Oh, by Friday, yes.
Yeah.
It
Sorry.
definitely has to be in by Friday.
Been a long day of looking at
Yep.
bylaws and all sorts.
Yeah, okay.
Counting days, okay?
All right, June 17th.
What time? 6.
Typically, yes.
Yeah. That's what we do.
That'll be the only thing on the agenda?
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to pretty much limit to just that.
Yeah.
Started earlier than 6.
Good. We could do 5.
5 is good.
Yeah. 5 sounds good.
5.
Yeah.
Making sure Shane knows if he's going to be doing the announcement, the time and place and reason.
I'm texting him. And he's drinking Irish whiskey.
Is he watching this? Is he watching this on GNAT too?
It should be at the town hall too, and we'll just have to talk to the theater company about
I think they're like 8
Oh,
times.
no, yeah, no, I know, but just that
But
if
to move
there's
it
anything.
here.
They're moving a lot of stuff in, because I was in there today to get my hammer.
All right, do you want a motion?
Came in useful.
Yes, please.
All right.
Make a motion.
Ready? I move with regard to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment establishing unified development regulations filed by the Planning Commission along with the associated report in keeping with Title 24 VSA Section 4441G to hold a public hearing as required under Title 24 VSA Section 4442A on June 17th at 5 p.m. and direct the town administrator to ensure proper public notice of the hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
If I can make a suggestion, you guys might want to make a set of rules so everybody knows exactly what the rules are before the meeting. And if you want me to moderate it, I'm happy to moderate it.
Can you recommend some general rules?
Good idea.
Do you have something sort of stock for public hearings?
Well, I'm not versed, I'm versed in Vermont town meeting rules. Everybody gets a maximum of 10 minutes to speak unless it's voted otherwise. And this isn't a town meeting, so you guys can make your own rules.
Their
So you
select board
can
rules
say-
are 3 minutes.
You can say 3 minutes. And then you can say in town meeting.
Don't have to, but I think we should.
Everybody gets to speak once, and then once everybody has spoken, you get a second bite of the apple.
Yeah.
So you can go a second time. And, I mean, that's how town meeting goes. But it's up to you guys as far as the back and forth. That's not allowed at town meeting either. Generally, you have to let it go. You let it go tonight. Because sometimes the back and forth, good questions come in that are helpful. Once it gets out of control, it's just...
And as parliamentarian in that situation, would you moderate that?
Well, you're going to have to make a rule that says that I'm the moderator of the meeting.
Okay. I mean, if you're free that night and you're willing to come and help us,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
willing to moderate if you guys want.
Don't you think that'd be a good idea?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to do this. As long as everybody knows at the beginning of the meeting, this is how the meeting's going to run, it's going to make it.
Yeah.
Really loud out there.
Paul, can you guys keep it down a little bit out there?
Keep it down, we can...
No problem.
Can I add to what he was just saying? I like the idea of him being a moderator, because over the next month, or whatever time it takes, you guys are gonna be very well versed on what needs to be changed. And I think you're gonna be busy answering questions. And I think having him moderate would free you up to fill that role a lot more effectively. If that helps make a decision on that, I think that's my 2 bits worth.
I'm agreeable with having the moderator. How about you?
Yeah, I think the more people who get hit by a car, the better.
Could I also request that you have microphones?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult to hear, especially in the town hall, and the people asking the question actually have to step up to the microphone.
Yeah, we can do that.
And there should be a portable one for people who,
We have to be done.
Yeah.
we have a problem with that in
I've
Weston
been
town meeting.
text Chris Blackie right now.
Do we have a second?
Yes,
we
Jim
vote on
seconded
this?
it, yep.
And well, and the other thing is,
And you passed it.
for town meetings, it's only residents. that are allowed. Only voters can speak.
Yeah.
Well, that's just.
Well, and there were some people here tonight who were not voters.
But you guys can make your own rule, that's what I'm saying, is it's not, this isn't a town meeting, this is up to you, however you want to set it up, but that might be something you want to consider.
Yep. Sounds good. Draft us some rules.
So can I ask, will you be our go-to person in terms of describing why something is placed as it is?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll produce a draft with notes in the margin and some suggestions. But my concern is, we were talking about trying to get it passed at a second meeting. I don't think that's possible. I think it has to be. Can you you can
Can you have it?
turn it down at the next meeting, right? And then,
We can turn it down and it would go
But
back
then
to the
can-
planning commission, or people could ask for a vote, townwide vote on it.
So, did you see that email?
No, I didn't.
With Fisher?
I didn't.
think I
Yeah.
copied you on it, but if I didn't. This is the summary of the conversation that we had with him today.
I was there, but
I know.
didn't
I
completely
know,
follow
but
it.
sometimes having it in writing makes it easy to refer
The
to.
one concern we have had is, once we hold this hearing, he has to do his job looking at both bylaws.
Yeah.
And he has admitted that it's gonna be awfully
Well,
hard.
I
to do
don't
that
think the
job.
changes are gonna happen in one meeting, that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Right.
Well,
So
and that's, we had somebody, one of the commenters said that maybe we should take small bites of the apple. And so the question in my mind is, do you put the whole bylaws on the floor and allow public comment? Or do you divide it up into sections? And I haven't read them, so I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just
I mean, there
asking.
are sections that are divisible, if you
I don't
will.
know if there's any statute on this.
No, you could do everything but subdivision and floods, and that would take about half of it out.
Because those are state rules.
The flood is
Yeah.
state and federal rules, the subdivision isn't.
But then the question
Could
is.
you open that door now if they're being quiet out there? Could you open that door if they're being quiet? Don't wanna make it look like we're not letting people in.
The only.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. So the only question then is, do people, does that reset the comment clock? Do people get a chance to speak once for the whole meeting or once for each section? And again, I don't know the answer to the question, I'm just throwing it out there.
Kill.
I think the challenge with doing it by section is that often the sections impact each other.
Yeah.
And
That's my
so
word.
by piecing it out like that, it can make it more confusing to talk about how the document works as a whole. And the vote on it wouldn't be done by section, even if you broke it out in a hearing and talked about it in different sections. So it's, I just don't know how helpful overall that approach is in the end.
Yeah, because talking about Fisher, a lot of the zoning administrator's job is gonna be put on hold until we figure out what bylaws we're going with. When he's on two of them, there's gonna be some stuff that he just can't do.
I think we sort of gotta get that process over with and
Go back
go back.
to option two that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Which is pass the whole thing.
No, which is don't
It's not-
pass it.
Right, so it's not, you don't have to pass the bylaws until the end of the hearing process.
Yeah.
So until you
So you're
have
still working
until you
on-
have a bylaw that you.
I got it.
I'll say want to pass. You're not passing it, you're just having hearing process and amending.
And it doesn't make Will's life difficult because he doesn't have two different documents that he's got to.
No, it does.
Difficult either way.
As soon as we have that public hearing.
Okay, all right, sorry.
He's working off two documents. so-
Okay, I get that. Yeah, that's right, I
I think
get
as
that.
soon as it's scheduled,
Yeah,
as
scheduled.
soon as it's scheduled, he has that, have to do both things.
Yeah.
So, is it okay? In the discussion with Fisher, if the board wants to go ahead with an amending process, rather than just a flat out denying the whole thing, and
Right.
which ends up kicking it back to the planning commission. You can, at the first hearing, make changes at that first hearing. So if you have however many changes ready to go, based on whatever work you can do between now and then, those changes can be made that night. Regardless of whether that happens that night or at a subsequent select board meeting, you're going to have at least one more hearing. But you can have as many hearings
For a second,
as you
yeah.
want.
Right.
But you're gonna have at least 2 select board hearings, no
Unless-
matter what, if you are choosing to go ahead with
Yeah.
amending the bylaws.
So you're looking at a minimum after the first hearing of 51 days. He's gonna be going off two bylaws, because you're gonna have the 15
Yep.
days between the meeting. 15 days, well, even more than that, I guess now, because we set the meeting for a little farther out, so it's 50-something days. the bare minimum. Unless, if we have a third one, then it's even longer. And we're getting into
And I think
construction
that's
season.
probably inevitable, that there'd be 3, 4 meetings.
Well, you can also make changes at a select board meeting, not another public hearing. If you're getting feedback after that first hearing on other changes that can be made, the select board can vote to make other changes, which would happen in a select board meeting. And then you have another hearing where you can make further changes and or vote down or approve. So there's definitely gonna be more than 2 meetings.
Right.
They might not all need to be public hearings, but you do have the opportunity as a select board to make changes outside of the hearings themselves.
Because you expressed earlier that there are some stuff you're not gonna be able to do looking at both bylaws.
Yeah, I'd have to really look to find that things are impossible.
Yeah.
Can you take action at the public hearing anyway, or is it strictly a hearing? It's not a select board meeting, is it? I mean, it's different.
Well, it says in step 2 of the conversation with our attorney, you hold the hearing, and at said hearing, the select board can vote to make the changes.
Okay.
Or votes during the hearing to make the changes that are already drafted and agreed upon. So one is, yes, we will make changes, and at a future meeting, we look at those changes. The other one is, we vote at the hearing to make the changes that are already drafted.
And the third option is to vote to not accept them.
You can also warn the hearing and have just a regular select board meeting be warned for immediately following the close of the hearing, so that if you needed to do business that was within the hearing, but then there was business that needed to be done in the select board meeting, you could have them be back to back, and you just close the hearing and then start the select board meeting, and you can conduct whatever business you need during the select board meeting.
The only problem I see with that is I think that opens up public comment again. So, it's up to you guys.
Which is fine.
I think we're mandated to do that. I mean, I think that's the process, it's baked in, right?
Right, so if it's a new meeting altogether, then I think that resets the public comment clock, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yep.
I mean, I don't know what the law is, the attorney does.
Yeah. Or you start the select board meeting and the hearing is in the select board meeting.
You can do that too, which would
We've done that with-
public comment ahead of the hearing portion.
Yeah, we've done that with other things before. I'm spacing off the top of my head. It's been a long day.
Yeah, we're sort of,
all of this stuff
No,
is
it's
just
good-
like,
It's good questions to pose. That's good to
Every
think.
time that you redo this, you have to present it back to
Right.
the public.
Right,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right.
Mandatory.
Right.
You have to have a second.
Yeah, you keep
Right.
going through the cycle till everybody's happy.
Or,
We're happy.
like Will was saying, the way you do it is you have a vote on the
Yeah.
bylaws that day. The board votes it down and then it goes back to the planning commission. And then they have to go through their thing
And
again.
that starts the whole
Right.
thing.
but isn't there another option though, is that, granted, there was lots of conversation and I get it, but we could adopt the set that had been proposed to us and then let the amendment process happen normally, and Will just starts picking them off and bringing those amendments to us.
You could, but why adopt something that's flawed when you can fix it?
It's not, well, but I know, but you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater is all I'm thinking. You're going to send an awful lot of stuff into the rework process. This way Will
You send
can,
it back to public comment with the planning commission if you vote it down, or you give it to the planning commission to do what they're gonna do with it.
If you do that, there'll be a town vote to reject it.
Yeah, the town, based on their mood tonight, it will be holy heck.
Yeah, you don't wanna go there.
I mean,
What happened last time when the first set of bylaws got passed?
it was ages ago.
The only,
2009.
yeah, the only time
They
I've
didn't-
done
they
anything
didn't
with
make
bylaws in
any
the 6 years I've been on this is small amendments.
Yeah.
77 pages, the town, pretty much everybody got a copy, everybody read it.
And it was fine.
It was fun.
What we did in Land Grove and Crew is we went over every change at meetings and at hearings, one by one.
It's a good idea for the hearing.
But in this one, we're not changing anything, we're getting a whole new,
Well,
you're taking 77 pages, but that has nothing to do with that 218 pages that you have now.
Well,
most of it.
No, you can crosswalk between them, I mean,
yeah.
Some administrators are gonna have a hard time crosswalking between two of them. So,
no,
I mean, you gotta listen to the guy who's doing the job.
Yeah.
I think that may be the quickest anyways, way, is to
Send it back.
send it back.
Yeah, because we went through both options earlier today.
and it's not back to you, it's back to the planning commission. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
And then they'd have to have another public hearing, listen to all the public's questions. Now, I hope they would listen to it. Actually take questions instead of just comments, and go from there. There's no great process here.
No.
We're left with no great options.
And I do think the planning commission feels beat up a bit, so they may not
Well, they
be-
didn't actually write it themselves. I mean,
Well, no, but they,
I know.
you know, I know because of my
Yeah.
husband, but they went over every piece, so, yeah.
Bruce.
So, reading the room tonight, the temperature of the room, I can promise you there's gonna be a petition probably by the end of next week.
I think it's done.
They probably need
Well, they need something to have a petition for, though.
Yeah,
Well, I
they need
think-
to have an article.
Well, I think for your part, to get ahead of this, it needs to be made clear to them that the process we're in right now has to run its course before the petition means anything. Because I think a lot of people left this room thinking, well, we'll just sign the petition and take it out of there.
Well, I did say that.
I know you did, I heard you say that.
I mean, yeah, I understand that to get it through to everyone is not the
I heard 3
easiest.
or 4 different comments, well, the comment about who's gonna head up the petition. So, you know, I think that's something that's gonna be in your lap pretty quick. And so I think that's gonna come to, you know, the people that run elections and things like that. You know,
That's fine.
You gotta be talking,
We can
obviously.
answer those questions. There's nothing, until the select board has voted to either approve or
Reject.
to reject the proposed changes.
Or
No, if you're gonna amend, then you just amend and have another hearing and amend and have another hearing. But once you vote to accept the proposed unified development as written, or vote to decline them, then there's something for the voters to petition. Because they're petitioning, essentially.
Another vote.
But they're petitioning the result of your vote.
Right. So therefore, in order to push the potential for a petition, I don't mean it that way, but the best thing for us is to keep working on amendments, is that right?
No, I think it's to reject the.
It is to reject.
Reject it
Okay, just wanna
outright.
make sure I understand.
I mean, I think those are your choices.
Yeah,
But the thing that is being petitioned is essentially a reconsideration of your decision to either accept or decline or reject the bylaw.
And honestly, I feel, no matter what at this point, the bylaws will probably have a petition. So we might as well just say,
We're gonna have a
make it a
vote.
public vote. Because I'm pretty darn sure it's gonna be petitioned.
Will that prolong the process, or would it be easier for you to just reject it?
Well, if you reject it, then,
reject
then it's rejected, you're essentially restarting the clock. So then we're gonna have this meeting again, and then we're gonna have the public hearing again, and then.
Well, the
we're
planning
gonna have-
commission's gonna have,
They have to.
it goes back to them to have their hearing
They
process.
have to happen,
And then we will come back to here eventually.
and then we'll vote on a public hearing, and then it's gonna be Groundhog Day.
Yeah, we will be back here one day.
But it'd be Groundhog Day with a different draft.
Yeah.
It's been Groundhog Day for the last 6 years, so.
So I would like to add, I've talked to
Bruce has a question, by the way.
several people about this particular subject about the firewood. I don't want to take this in a different direction, but I talked to the planning commission members, And they don't remember ever even discussing firewood as part of the overall, you know, okay, we're writing this or rewriting it, whatever. Turns out a lot of it was in the previous bylaws. My feel is that the consultant, you know, did a lot of the work. Here you go. And they did a cursory check over it. I've talked to Tom, who's also my boss at the transfer station, briefly about it.
We're all your boss. I'm just a liaison.
I'm not his boss.
So,
us three.
so I think that should be, you should know that before sending it, when it goes back to the planning commission, you should know that it may not have been done as thoroughly as it could have been. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, because I know they did work hard on it. But I think that, at least that one particular topic, I think just kind of like, nobody's going to worry about that. And went on to the next one, because it's a huge document. There was a lot of work. So, that being said, I'm willing to be of any assistance I can if it gets back to that level.
Thank you, Steve.
Boots, did you have a question?
Yeah, I've never quite understood why you're gonna have two documents in play at the same time.
That's a state rule.
State statute.
As soon as.
I can't tell you that one.
But does a new document take effect?
What was that?
As soon as, like, what do you have to do to make the new document in effect?
We have to adopt that, vote to adopt it, whatever bylaw it is, and then you have 21 days until it goes into effect. And during those 21 days, you're still looking at both documents. And why that's a rule?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. That's above my pay grade.
Because that 21-day period is when the electorate has the opportunity to petition.
No, I was talking about the two different zoning.
No, I know, but the reason for having that period of days is to give the electorate the opportunity to petition to have it go to a town vote instead of a select board decision.
The one thing about letting it play out is that then you'll allow the public to address all of their issues, and that might inform your rewrite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that can be done in the planning commission too.
Yeah, because if it goes back to the planning commission, they'd have to have another public hearing, and that's when everybody can come to them, and they can rewrite it. You can do it either way, but the select board doing it is gonna be a lot of time, and a lot of time for him looking at two different documents.
I should have brought my copy with the Post-its on it. You know, if I've got a whole deck of Post-its on my copy, that's a lot of meetings worth of things to talk about.
So it could be one of those things that goes on forever. You amend, you have another one, then you gotta amend again, then you have another one. And maybe
Don,
next
for
year.
6 years, what's
Sort of the
another?
democratic process.
Maybe next year or something, we're gonna be done with it.
Well, what that happens, if you want me to moderate one of those, if you want me to moderate a planning commission meeting, I can do that too.
You keep volunteering for this.
I just want, I think you did a great job tonight. I just,
Thank you.
I think it's a lot to put on you. It's not necessarily your job to, you know.
Sure it is.
I'm just saying you're going for punishment. Just like the rest of us.
Yeah, but they don't get mad at me. I don't make any decisions.
I hope they
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can
make
be
any
the-
decisions either.
So I think we have a lot to think about, each individual board member. And I don't think there's anything to decide tonight outside of the hearing.
Yeah, other than the date of the hearing, so that the warning process can.
And we
We
voted
voted
that.
on that.
Yeah.
We did.
Right.
That's all done, so.
Right. So,
Yep,
right, you don't have
So
to
let's,
decide anything.
let's move on for a little bit here.
yeah.
Good night.
I've had enough
Have a
of
good
zoning
night.
for
See you, bud.
2 weeks.
Okay, now we're on to 12D, update on regional flood remediation efforts. So, I don't even know what Friday it was.
It was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Or,
Could have been, yeah, 2 weeks sounds right. I don't
you
know.
weren't here, so it was 2 weeks ago.
But, so, myself and Jim Linville from Weston, unfortunately Jamaica didn't make it. We were able to sit down with Alyssa Sabetto from Wyndham Regional Commission and Marie Caduto from the state. And we went over some different ideas. And there are definitely town-owned properties that the program is called Flood Elevation and Restoration. And the elevation might confuse people because you're not really elevating anything, you're actually taking away ground and you're bringing land down to about a foot or so above the river. So when it floods, there's more storage. And this can be done through the state. I was just on the Hazard Mitigation Fund call today, and that is a thing that we can use for that too as well. And we identified multiple places in town. Some are private property that I won't get into at this moment. We'd have to negotiate landowners. But the transfer station has some land on the river. Maybe it's going to look more into some of the properties we looked at. The rescue squad has some land right in the river. A lot of that's pretty low already. I don't know if there'd be anything to do there. And we have the Proudy property, which has a whole field down below that is all in the floodplain we can't do anything with. So we can try to use that for this.
Is it about trying to create more space for the river to spread?
More storage, yeah.
You lower the level so it's just a little above the river. And so you've got more space for your water to spread out. And there's also, you can also do, private properties can also do flood easements. So you devote this much of land to the town, and not to the town, to the state, saying you will develop it. And I'm pretty sure you'll get a tax break. I won't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure. Because that was never really fully stated in that meeting, but I have a feeling there's got to be something for you to do this. So we are continuing to look. We could really only, with Marie in the room, we could really only look at the river and the various ways to do that. We couldn't really look at the culvert projects and stuff we had because that's not her department. But it was a good meeting overall. So we'll continue looking at various places and various ideas.
This sounds like it's the evolution of those early conversations about getting the Wyndham Regional Commission and that gal Sabetto or whatever her name is involved in a hydrology project. Is that kind of how this is moving along, or is that still something else?
That hydrology project was supposed to be originally it was talked about as the hydrology project was under the Two Rivers of Quechee grant, which we are still waiting to hear from the people who were awarded this grant and the consultant, but we haven't met them yet.
Right.
And that morphed into something different because I was almost sure, like you were, that it was a hydraulic grant, and now it's more for like doing a couple culverts. It'd probably be, they asked for projects, and the project we gave them for that was Barker Road and Reinhardt Road box culverts. And that's just for design, that's not to get it done, that's to help us get a design. So I don't know if there's miscommunication at one point or not, or if that project evolved into something different. But the hydraulic study, I don't know where that ever.
Okay.
I know there was talk, and now there's not talk. That's all I know.
Well, to do some of that floodplain restoration work, you might end up having to do a hydrology study or scoping study.
To understand,
that baked into it.
And some of the river corridor plan might have some of that in it. I mean, that's supposed to be out it was supposed to be out sooner, but now it's September, I believe. If it doesn't get delayed again, hopefully it doesn't.
So I had a conversation with Judy Platt just to sort of let her ask me questions about what the town was doing, what they could possibly do as an individual business or with a collection of businesses along Main Street. And I probably should talk with Shane about this, just to see if there's anything in the pipeline that would benefit them. But other than the hydrology study, it doesn't...
I'm right with all the funding just as much as Shane is.
Okay,
I'm
right.
there, I'm
We
doing
should
all the meetings.
have a conversation, because I think she's eager to feel that there's some kind of wholesale effort about this. I mean, as you probably know, they have an individual remediation that fixes their building that they'd love to be able to do, but they're also thinking, what else can we be doing? So, okay, I'm happy to touch base with you on that.
And that's basically the update I had from that meeting. It was productive enough, and it'll be a long road. Probably at least 10 years or more, but we're trying to find ways to help.
There's that symposium that's upcoming.
Oh yeah, there is a flood recovery workshop I think FEMA's putting on in the state at Stratton Mountain on
4th maybe?
the 4th, I believe, yep, June 4th. Yep, and I'm pretty sure there's something in here towards the end. There was information about that.
Yep, somebody will be attending on behalf of us.
I'm going.
Good.
Kelly's going.
Might be interesting to go.
It's right on, almost the last page.
Yeah, the first
Here it is.
part, like 8 to 12 is municipalities, and the second part seems like more individual.
It's more business and nonprofit.
Business, yeah. There you go.
Related.
But we are going, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shane signs up. But I don't know if he has.
And from what I've heard, the one that's happening in Johnson and the one that's happening in, I can't remember if it's
Montpelier.
Montpelier. It's all very, very similar subject matter, so if you couldn't make one and you wanted to do the drive, you could go to the others.
Yep.
Okay. So that's my updates on the flood efforts going forward. Okay.
Any questions?
No?
No?
Alright, move on to 12E, ratify 5/6/2024 decision to accept a sub-recipient grant agreement with the state of Vermont Department of Public Safety related to FEMA Public Assistance Program. Don't fall asleep on it, Sheriff.
I'm trying, I'm
gonna start banging.
I had a cup of coffee before I come over here.
Anyone care to make that motion?
I move to ratify, which one are we doing here? E. I move to ratify the board's 5/6/2024 decision to accept the sub-recipient grant agreement with the state of Vermont Department of Public Safety related to the FEMA Public Assistance Program and its provisions for reimbursement of town funds expended on flood recovery efforts stemming from the July 2023 flooding event, and authorize the town administrator to execute this and all related documents necessary to secure the public assistance and other FEMA and/or state of Vermont funding.
Second.
All those in favor?
Second.
Yeah.
Aye.
And we did receive our first $9,000.
I saw that.
Only a million to go.
12F is ratify 5/6/2024 decision to approve that one gets me every time. Vendor permit for Mountain Fresh Bowls.
I could do that. I move to ratify the board's 5/6/2024 decision to approve itinerant vendor permit 2024-02 for Mountain Fresh Bowls.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now we're moving on to 12G, Honey Colstis access permit. No, that's not in there, we added that to this. So, what is it? Modifying old access. He's got all his paperwork in line. Josh has looked it over, so. If you just want to approve a access permit for Honey Colstis, you can
Yes.
Add that right to it, I guess.
I moved to
Sorry.
access permit for Hunter Calstis, formerly 2687 Under the Mountain Road, modifying an old access. And can I do them both?
No.
Okay.
No, we put them down as two different.
Okay.
We have a second.
Oh, second, I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And 12H is Wiley access permit. Wiley, access permit for Wiley Construction.
I move to process a permit for Wiley Construction, 252 Glebeview Lane, extending an existing access permit that was temporary.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to item 13. 13A is consider amendment to the ordinance to regulate the operation of short-term rentals. This is just a clarification. We got some letters wrong in subsections.
Sorry.
I'll move it,
That's weird.
if we're ready.
These are not paginated. Okay, that's okay.
Oh.
Yep, second.
I haven't done it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move to adopt the amendment to the short-term rental ordinance that provides for, 1, under Article 4G, replace the reference to subsection D with a reference from subsection F. 2, under Article 4H, replace the references to subsection D and E with references to subsection F and G respectively, and such amendments to take effect after 60 days unless a petition is filed as provided for under 24 VSA, whatever that little squiggly line is, 1973B.
What is that, state statute?
Yes, subsection, yeah.
Subsection, yeah.
Subsection.
Now can I second?
1973B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
13B, discuss one Londonderry Park Road proposal.
So I apologize for not having anything in front of you. All we are asking, Tom, you to be able to do is sign a revised letter from the one that we did last week, I guess. And we're modifying the dates of operation. In the original letter, it says from Memorial Day weekend to Columbus Day weekend. And we want to make it a little bit more flexible if the weather stays nice into the fall months or vice versa at the front end of the calendar. So I have language, but I can't find it because I was too busy on some other things. But we'd like to submit a letter to you that allows us to do that. Is that specific enough or not? Sorry. It's probably not.
My only question is, should the rest of the board discuss that before I sign it? To modify it, I don't know.
Well, I guess you could make a motion to, she could make a motion to change the,
Right, I mean, yeah.
the date.
Can I make a motion to change the date on that document and have you re-sign a new one that indicates the dates are approximately, what is this, Memorial Day to Columbus Day?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You okay with that? Okay, great, thank you. And I will get that to you in the next day or so.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Moving on, 13C, first and third class liquor license and outside consumption permit, Ski Magic LLC, Magic Mountain Ski Area.
I move to approve first and third class liquor licenses and an outside consumption permit for Ski Magic LLC, also known as the Magic Mountain Ski Area, related to property located at 495 Magic Mountain Access Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And 13D is to trust schedule for annual employee performance reviews.
Do we have said schedule?
We don't, nobody,
But we know that it's gonna happen sometime in June. right,
yeah,
for
we
all
wanna, and we'll
employees?
probably not wanna do it on a select board night.
I've been requested by at least the road crew that we don't do it on the select board night and provide longer time for them to talk.
I think that's fair.
And so we could do the road crew one time, we could do
Transfer station.
another time.
Do they-
And then we got Shane.
Do they need to be nighttime events?
No, they could be early after, or late afternoon.
Yeah.
After their work?
Yeah.
Transfer station, yeah. Or Wednesdays, if
What do you think?
they're available.
The earlier you do, the better for Keith, because he leaves at 4.
Yeah.
So you can tailor it around, I leave usually a half hour to an hour after he does, so.
You could do it in 2 nights, I guess. Probably 3 hours.
Do you want us to
a
set
night.
actual dates now, or do you want us to just be available with our calendars?
I think we could set dates on the 3rd, but we can also set dates tonight. Might work out better to reach out before a meeting and see what dates might actually work for people though too.
Yeah, I could do that tomorrow.
So we could just set it on the 3rd, once we actually have some dates that might,
Yeah.
that might be the easiest way.
What's your preference?
So as far as mine and Keith's, it works pretty easy, then you got Dana and Candy, I guess. Do you do them for them as well, as part-time?
We should, yeah.
So, tell you what, I'll mention it to Keith tomorrow.
Okay, let me know.
And let you know something tomorrow afternoon or something.
And
We'll
then-
try to reach out to, we usually see Candy and I might see Dana, so
Okay,
we could probably nail that down pretty quick.
okay.
I can reach out to the road crew. Alright. Anyone can make the last motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You can go home and sleep tonight?
Do I have to sign any of this? Or is it just for reference?
I think there's